As filmmakers, we regularly need to decide on the right piece of equipment for the job. Sometimes this means carrying a couple of cameras and lots of lenses to a single shoot. Other times, only one camera and just a single lens has to do it. But with more than 200 lenses for Sony E Mount alone, the decision on which one to bring along is not an easy one to make. A good 16-35 is a staple for many filmmakers out there. Great for wide establishing shots and just enough reach to separate a subject from the background. There's a better choice, however. Let me show you why you may want to reconsider before picking your next everyday carry lens. The mirrorless revolution brought us ever smaller camera bodies, packed with features people back then couldn't have dreamed of. Impeccable autofocus, in-body image stabilization, powerful sensors, efficient codecs, and much, much more. Nowadays, you're easily able to bring a camera along that's barely bigger than the palm of a hand, but able to produce visuals that rival cinema's greatest movies. You only need to glance at the stuff that some people regularly dish out on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. More than ever before, the only limit is your own creativity and skill, something that can be improved over time. But improvement needs regular practice, so we want to lower friction as much as possible. With that being said, what does an everyday carry lens have to offer to be considered a great choice? Simple. 3 things to be exact. It has to be versatile, efficient, and compact. Let's see why the Tamron 20-40 is so much better than people believe. The choice between a zoom or a prime lens is relatively straightforward. You'll trade a bit of optical quality from a prime lens for the added versatility of a zoom lens. Primes are designed to be proficient at exactly one focal length. This makes it easier for lens manufacturers to reduce distortion, vignetting, and other optical flaws compared to a lens that covers multiple focal lengths. However, today I want to definitively state the following. If you're a solo filmmaker like me who needs equipment that can cover many diverse situations and you need to be able to act quickly without wasting time, a zoom lens is the objectively better choice for you. I love to swap lenses and filters, said no one ever. A good zoom lens doesn't only make shooting easier, it saves you time and headaches you can't afford to have on set. Some people might argue that you could simply move closer or further away from your subject, and I unfortunately have to disagree. You won't be able to get a nice wide shot for an interview with a 50mm prime in a tiny room, and neither will you be able to get a solid close-up of an artist on stage with a 28mm fixed focal length. The trade-offs in optical performance are, for the most part, irrelevant. If the final image you've captured with a zoom lens looks stunning, nobody's gonna ask if it could have been a tad bit sharper with a prime lens. Comparisons straight up don't matter. I feel like many of our brothers and sisters in the filmmaking space get lost in needless discussion about the best equipment instead of going out there and producing inspiring work. And I hope to be able to convince you that sometimes the easy answers are the ones that make the most sense. An everyday carry lens not only needs to be able to cover many different circumstances, it also needs to perform well. An aperture of f2.8 won't give you all the bokeh in the world, but it is enough for solid low-light performance. Couple this with one of Sony's low-light cameras like an FX3, A7S III, or ZV-E1, and you're set for any and every situation. During the intro, I stated that the Tamron 20-40 is my preferred choice over its competitors with the well-known 16-35 zoom range. In this case, I'd rather take the added reach at the top end while leaving out some at the wide end. In my experience, 20mm is the widest I'd want to go to, with the only exception being real estate videos. Anything wider seems unnatural to my eyes. And to me, the 40mm is also preferable over the 35 when working with people. This makes the Tamron's zoom range much more useful for the work I'm doing. The Tamron 20-40 boasts a reliable autofocus system with quick and quiet focus motors. Combined with Sony's industry-leading autofocus tech, this lens works like a charm. The focus ring feels well dampened and turns smoothly should you decide to focus manually. Like many of Tamron's new lenses, the 20-40 also sports a weather-sealed USB-C port. The free software then allows you to update the lens firmware or customize some of the user experience characteristics. Very underrated feature in my books and something many people seem to miss. One of the 20-40's biggest features, however, is with just 365 grams, you'll barely notice this one in your camera bag. Compared to the Sony G Master 16-35, the Tamron is 182 grams lighter and 25mm shorter. The lens extends or retracts during use. This allows for a smaller footprint compared to lenses with a fixed length, and I tend to prefer that for my equipment. Not every setup needs to be light and small, but the form factor makes it perfect to just pick up and shoot. Remember, an everyday carry lens should be something that gets us out there and shooting. The Tamron 20-40 f2.8 checks just about all the boxes for a great everyday carry lens. With its versatile zoom range, it's more useful than its 16-35 counterparts. It performs well with reliable and fast autofocus and a solid continuous aperture of f2.8. It's great for wide shots, decent for tight shots, and even works without fault in low light scenarios when paired with the right setup. It is incredibly light and small, making it easy to bring along, toss it into your camera bag, or carry it handheld for an entire day. In the end though, none of this really matters if the final image isn't up to par. You're still here, which leads me to believe that the footage convinced you. I can say it certainly convinced me. Going forward, the Tamron 20-40 will be my main lens for small jobs, travel, and my everyday carry setup.